Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. This is your Monday night, depending on where you are. It could be Tuesday morning, it could be Monday afternoon. Your Monday night update on all things Tottenham, your transfer news, views, and clues, and other news around the club. Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. Please do me a favor, guys, as you always do. But please, only if you like the content, then smash the like button. It really helps the channel out. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We're on the march to 20K. It's all very exciting. Hit the notification bell and drop a comment. Let me know your thoughts on today's topic. And we're going to start out with a little bit of news outside of transfers, but maybe someone is going to have a massive influence on transfers in the future. And this is a Football Insider breaking news story that came out today. Tottenham are in advanced talks to agree a deal with Aston Villa's Rob McKenzie. Tottenham are in advanced talks to lure Aston Villa recruitment chief Rob McKenzie. Sources have told Football Insider the Premier League leaders are working on a deal to hire McKenzie for a second time after he spent 18 months at the club from 2015 to 2016. Tottenham have set their sights on the Villa head of recruitment after announcing on the 9th of October that Johan Langer was joining from the Midlands Giants as their technical director. The Dane is set to officially begin work at Spurs on Wednesday and will have responsibility for recruitment, analytics, and talent identification across the club's senior and academy teams. But Tottenham are keen to reunite Langer with McKenzie, who has been head of recruitment at Villa since August 2020. He has previously held senior recruitment roles at Derby County, Belgian club OH Leuven, after making his name as head of player identification at Tottenham, which involved recommending scouting targets to the club's transfer team. Langer has been squeezed out of Villa after Monchi took over as the club's president of football operations in the summer, in a move that effectively put the Spaniard in charge of the first team recruitment. Villa owners NSWE had been concerned with Langer's transfer record during his 3-year reign at the club. I don't know why. We've been through it before. He's done remarkably well. But anyway, we continue. He was responsible for signing flops like Bertrand Traore, Morgan Sanson, and Leon Bailey for big money fees. Okay, but there was a lot of other players that came in as well. While more successful stars like Ollie Watkins and Matty Cash were also signed on his watch. Langer held the role of Global Director of Football Development and at Villa from June 2023, having previously been Sporting Director from 2020. Now, look, I don't have much to go on with regards Rob McKenzie, but it does seem to me, guys, that Tottenham are in a massive recruitment drive right now. There's a huge transformation going on at Tottenham Hotspur, and potentially Rob McKenzie is the latest in a long line, or a relatively long line, of backroom sort of reshuffles, players, people rather, coming in, like Scott Munn, obviously Johan Langer, Fabio Paratici seemingly maybe being edged out, although technically is still, at least on some sort of unofficial basis, working as a consultant. We know Gabbanini left the club. Chief Scout Gabbanini left the club last summer or last month as well. So it's all very interesting. I think they're all going to be looking towards this new identification process. Remember that with regards, as an English club, it's traditionally difficult to bring in players from South America. Most of the time, those players come over and spend a couple of years in elsewhere in Europe, other places in Europe like Spain or Portugal, before they then, having proved themselves, get more money or higher money move, bigger money moves into the Premier League. But we've had a couple of instances recently where we're looking, the transfer news is frequently looking towards South America. Tottenham are trying to get ahead of the curve with this new youth-centric approach towards recruitment. And I want to pivot on that note towards a particular story that came out today alongside this transfer news, views, and clues update. And it actually results in a player that I'll be honest, I haven't heard much about. I don't follow the Brazilian league, so I'm going to not spend too much time on this particular story. But according to SpursWeb.com, multiple outlets are now reporting that Tottenham Hotspur have expressed a strong interest in Palmeiras star Joaquin Piquerez ahead of the January transfer window. Piquerez, who can operate as a left back and a left wing back, has been a stand-up performer in the Brazilian Serie A over the last couple of years, and he has now established himself as a regular in the Uruguayan national side. So he can't be that bad. And like I say, I don't really know the level of what the Brazilian Serie A is relative to the Premier League, relative to other leagues in Europe or the Championship. But I do know that Palmeiras is a team that's right at the very top of that list. And if he has established himself in the Uruguayan team, then he can't be that bad, can he? But anyway, Spurs and Aston Villa both like Joaquin Piquerez, according to journalist Diego Firmino, who says that several clubs, including Spurs, have conducted surveys about the 25-year-old. He also adds that Aston Villa and Marseille are also keeping tabs on the player ahead of January. So it makes you think, if Aston Villa are interested in him, then who was the first one of the two clubs, Tottenham or Villa, to notice? And if it was Aston Villa first, is the reason why we are now interested, is that anything to do with the aforementioned Johan Langer or the aforementioned Rob McKenzie? Are their identification for players that are over in South America that Aston Villa have been made aware of now getting transferred towards Tottenham? It's all very interesting. Look, I don't know too much about this player at all. I can show you his stats in a minute, but just to carry on the story for a second, the information has been backed up by Bol Vape Brazil, as relayed by Sports Witness, who suggests that Piquerez could be a Premier League-bound player, also naming Tottenham and Villa as the two clubs vying for his signature. The outlet adds that Palmeiras would be willing to sell the left-back for 10 million euros. According to Spurs Web, he said, whilst the Piquerez might have caught the eye of Tottenham scouts when they were running the rule over his international teammate Sebastian Cáceres, I would be surprised if Tottenham made a move for Palmeiras star in January, as we are well stocked with options at left-back. I'm not sure I agree. I think we might be well stocked with personnel that can play left-back, but in terms of options, I don't know, guys, if I support that narrative. I think that Ryan Sessegnon is a player that is still on our books, but mainly because he is always injured and we can never sell him during transfer windows. Maybe that's harsh, but for me, I just don't know what sort of player he is, because he literally spends 2 games fit and then 10 games out. He's a medical nightmare, and it's super frustrating. In terms of Ben Davies as an option, I think we saw on Friday night, Crystal Palace aimed everything down our left-hand side. They were trying to take advantage of the fact that Ben Davies doesn't have the pace to get back like Destiny Udogie does, like Romero and Van der Ven do, like Pedro Porro does, and to a lesser extent, Emerson Royale. And so I do think that there is starting to be, as you'll see from the rest of this story that I'm going to portray to you, a bit of an increased interest in Tottenham, at least according to reports, are looking to maybe get some bolstered options, not just in the centre-back role, but actually someone that has the utility and the versatility to get across and play left-back if called upon. We know Mickey van der Ven is obviously our stalwart as a left-sided centre-back, but he can play left-back. However, I don't particularly want to see him ever needing to be pushed over in that direction, because the roles of the left-back in the Tottenham system require him to play inverted and get forward. But one of the major compromises of playing the system that we do is that we have such a high line defensively, and that you then need massive amounts of pace to get back in the inevitable moments when transitions happen and when we are caught out. And if Mickey van der Ven has to get pushed out to the left-hand side to accommodate another centre-back that is a left-footed centre-back naturally, then his role in the team will change and he'll be asked to be doing things further up the pitch. And then when those transitions happen, who will be the person who's in the left-sided centre-back? Will he have the pace? Will he have the technical abilities that Van der Ven does to get back and to get us out of trouble? I personally don't hate the fact that he can play in both positions, but I'd rather keep him where he is and only use that as an absolute kind of last chance saloon, last ditch resort. I'm not going to talk anymore on the Brazilian player Piquerez, other than to show you his stats very quickly. He's 26 years old, 25 years old. He's just turned 25. And look, these are FB Ref stats. They are comparing his numbers to the top 5 leagues in Europe over the last 365 days. Now, but you have to take these stats with a pinch of salt, always bake in the context. He's playing for Palmeiras, which is one of the best teams in the Brazilian league. I personally don't know the level well enough to say it confidently as to whether or not the Brazilian Serie A and Palmeiras generally are they Premier League level? Are they Championship level? Are they Eredivisie level, La Liga level? I just don't know. So I'm not going to spend any time on it. But if you flick through, you will see quite comfortably here that this guy is in the top, 10, 15 percentile in the Brazilian league at doing what he's doing, but it's all compared to players in the top 5 leagues in Europe. So not knowing really what that standard looks like, you can see that he's wonderful at passing. He's very good at getting forward in comparison to other fullbacks in the top 5 European leagues. He's doing brilliant things. When you get down and you see his defensive stats, they start to fall away a little bit. But again, that's probably because he's playing for Palmeiras, and Palmeiras are so strong in that league that that he doesn't have to be asked to do and contribute to the defensive stats quite as much. So what I would say confidently is that he is a ball playing, aggressive, forward thinking fullback or a wing back. But these stats, like I say, unless you guys can educate me in the comment section around really what the level is in Palmeiras and in that league relative to what we're kind of looking for, and I can't, then I'm not sure how much to take from this. I'm going to leave this one and move on, guys, to the next story of the day. And that is this particular story right here. This is about a centre back more so than a left back, but I think the same situation applies. Tottenham Hotspur reportedly remain interested in Borussia Mönchengladbach defender Ko Itakura, who used to be on the books at Manchester City. News originally shared by Dean Jones has been gathering momentum, and several outlets are picking up on the idea that Itakura could be an option for Tottenham to strengthen their defence with as they ponder a January departure for Eric Dyer. Writing for Give Me Sport earlier this week, Team Talk correspondent Jones revealed that Itakura's skill set has, quote, impressed members of the recruitment team at Tottenham, unquote. Although Itakura is currently shaking off an injury, he will be monitored by Tottenham once he recovers. Jones confirmed the news of Tottenham's interest has been spreading, and it would certainly be an interesting transfer if it was to materialise. Itakura never got the chance to make his Premier League debut with Manchester City, spending most of his time with the club out on loan with Groningen and Schalke. He has rebuilt his career in Germany, has been with Borussia Mönchengladbach since the start of last season. They still have him under contract until 2026, but it might be bracing themselves. They might be bracing themselves for for interest rather, from potential suitors like Spurs. Itakura can cover two roles. The fact he is able to operate as a defensive midfielder could make him useful. As stated, Dyer could leave Tottenham after failing to find space under Postecoglou, and centre-back and holding midfielder are the two roles he plays in. Furthermore, Isbasuma and Pape Sarr are expected to go to the Africa Cup of Nations with their respective countries over the winter, while Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is being linked with an exit from Tottenham too. Let me just show you guys, bearing that in mind, right? This guy's 26 years old. He's 6'2" tall. His value has gone from relatively nothing at all over the last few years, but he's just getting to the peak of his game. He's obviously doing some really good things. Interesting things to note, guys, is that he actually is a member of CAA Base Limited, which is the agency that maybe 30, 40, 50% of Tottenham's first team are currently managed by. So maybe there's a link there. Maybe that's what the basis of this rumor is on, rather than the foundation of the link for other reasons that just happens to be supported by this fact. I'm not sure. But look, he is a centre back. He can play on the right side or the left side of the back four, and he can play in the defensive midfield role. We know how often we are talking on this channel, at least, about the versatility and the utility. I don't want to bang on about it too much more. Look, a very good player. Let's take a quick look at his stats in Germany, and you will find some really, really impressive stuff. Again, if you know that he's a DM, then you can pretty much rest assured that as well as his defensive duties, he can get on the ball. He's a good ball playing centre back. And of course, when you look at him versus other centre backs in the top 5 leagues, but especially specifically in Germany, then you can see that he's aggressive, his front foot stuff. Not that this is too much what you're expecting or need to rely on, but it's nice to see that he can chip in with some goals. I think he's got 2 goals this season for Borussia Mönchengladbach. His passing range is very, very good. 58 passes per game in the top 80th percentile. He's got a 90% completion rate. Total passing distance, he doesn't just knock it sideways. He's not a sideways passer. He's up there in the top 75th percentile in the league. But yeah, like I say, he gets the ball around, medium passes as well. One thing I would say about this guy is defensively, he doesn't shirk his responsibilities. He gets right in there and does his block. So he's not only is he a good passing centre back who gets the ball down on his floor and he can pass it long, medium, short, and gets it to where it needs to be most of the time, guys. But when it comes to defensive duties, he's right up there as well in the top 5 percentile, 6 percentile for blocks per 90. He also gets right in there and is one of the in the higher echelons on his tackling side. Look, I'm not particularly that blown away by Ko Itakura, guys. I think he's a good player. He's on the crest of a wave and his career is certainly improving, but he's 26 years old and I'm not entirely sure whether or not he offers quite enough for me to get too excited about him, considering what he's going to cost, which is probably £25 million. There is, of course, a player that I do want to bring your attention to, guys. And you might remember him from the days of last summer when we were talking about trying to bring a player in that could play left-sided centre-back to sit behind Mickey van der Ven or to sit behind Tap Sober, and that is Hiroki Ito. And this guy has continued in his march towards recognition, continue towards his next level very, very effectively for Stuttgart. Now, he doesn't have the same agent, so it's not a CAA-based connection. But if you just look right here, you'll see quite convincingly this guy is proper utility, proper versatility. He's a ball-playing centre-back that can play in the DM. He can play on the left or the right. But ultimately, this season, even though it's not his standout position according to Transfer Market, you'll actually see he has played more often than not as a left-back this year. And I think that this is something that Tottenham should be paying attention to before another club is smart enough to take advantage. He has scored 2 goals this season in the Bundesliga, playing most minutes that are available for Stuttgart. Let's take a look at his stats just to show them to you very, very briefly. And you will see he's also got 2 assists this season for Stuttgart as well. Bearing in mind, guys, that Stuttgart right now have got more scouts going to watch them every week than I'm guessing most teams in Europe, because they have Serhou Guirassy, who is absolutely smashing records, and he's the number 1 goals per minute, number 1 goals per games ratio in all of the leagues in Europe. So a lot of scouts are over there watching him, Tottenham included. But I'd imagine that they're paying attention to other players at Stuttgart whilst they're there. And for me, Hiroki Ito is one of these players that we shouldn't be sleeping on in terms of getting forward, in terms of his ability on the ball. He's very fast. He's very quick. He's good in the air. He's strong. He's powerful. He knows how to pass the ball around. And his ability on the ball, he gets, like I say, he gets his goals. His passing, look at this, guys. This is what I want to show you. I can't stress enough. Key passes, he's in the 99th percentile. Key passes per game from a centre-back or a left-back position is up there with the very best. Expected assists, expected goals, crosses into the penalty area, progressive passes. This guy is someone that, as a ball-playing centre-back who's fast enough to get back when caught in a bad position, is the sort of player that you need. He can come in and can absolutely support what we have, both in left-back behind Destiny Udogie and as a left-sided centre-back or a right-sided centre-back if need be, even though he's a left footer, and also as a DM. When you look at this this ability to be able to create things from the back, taking the balls out, progressive carries, dribbles, crosses, passing accuracy, passing distribution, a variety of length. For me, if you're looking for a guy who can do those sorts of things, then you found it in Hiroki Ito. Look, again, he's not these stats are being compared to centre backs. He's not asked to do that much in this particular setup, but I've seen him before when he was first emerging. I can tell you right now, he is absolutely no slouch when it comes to his tackles, when it comes to his crosses, when it comes to the interceptions and clearances when asked to do it. For me, Hiroki Ito is a player that most teams in Europe are probably starting to pay attention to because of the amount of scouts that are watching his teammate, Serhou Guirassy. And I really just don't want Tottenham to be sleeping on him, because I think he has the versatility and the utility to be able to step up, step in, and for relatively small sums of money, be able to cover so many positions and offer that additional support far better than Eric Dyer. And like I say, at the same time, you're not really creating a bottleneck too much for the players like Ash Phillips and Dorrington and Vescovic when they come through. In all the things that you need from a player that has the ability to play in 4 or 5 different positions, this guy has it in spades. Guys, I really hope that these links that emerged last year for Hiroki Ito re-emerge in January. For me, this is one of the guys that I'd love to see come in. Let me know your thoughts. Would you rather have Hiroki Ito? Would you rather have Ko Itakura? Would you rather have Joaquin Piquerez? Or would you rather have someone else that can play left-sided centre-back and that can play as a left-back? And ideally, if you can think of one that can also play on the right side and as a DM. Maybe, just maybe, there's two other names that I want to bring your attention to, and that is Jared Branthwaite. I mentioned him earlier. I'm a massive fan of Jared Branthwaite, guys. I think he is someone that's emerging in Everton. He spent a lot of time at PSV Eindhoven last year. He won a lot of things for PSV. He's come back to Everton now. He's fast, he's strong, he's tall. He's not a ball-playing centre-back, at least for Everton. He's not a ball-playing centre-back. That doesn't mean that he can't learn and adapt and become a better player. But what he's asked to do at Everton, with the system at Everton and with the pressures that they find themselves on in the league, he's often obviously spent more of his time defending, but he gets forward when he can. He's a very, very interesting player. And another name I want to shout out and get you guys thinking about and talking about is left back for Fulham, Anthony Robinson. I think this guy is a wonderful, wonderful talent. He can get forward. He supports the likes of Willian for Fulham brilliantly down the left-hand side. Fulham against Tottenham. Every time I see us play against Fulham, I think Anthony Robinson has a wonderful game. He can get back and defend brilliantly as well. Again, if we're looking for people that are understudies, where the level at the drop-off isn't quite there, there's fundamental requirements that you're looking for: pace, adaptability, good on the ball for our system, but can get back when necessary and not neglect their defensive roles. And for me, Branthwaite can do it. Robinson can do it. Itakura can do it. But for me, of all of them, I'm still going to sit there and say Hiroki Ito is my number one choice. Who's yours? Let me know, guys. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, bye-bye.